joining for another episode of the Visionary Building podcast and web series. We're joined today with Gabby DiPaula. She is a social media producer for CBS Sports. So we're talking the all things social area of life today. Gabby, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great. So I'd love to just start with you just sort of telling us about yourself and sort of what you do on a daily basis with CBS.
Yeah, so I work in their social, more on their Facebook side of it. So I believe that they have three teams, an Instagram team, a Twitter team, and a Facebook team, which is you would think that it would all kind of be under one person. But I believe it's under three teams. I'm on their Facebook team. So creating content, I pretty much have a lot of freedom with that, which is really nice. They do like to focus a lot on college football, and the NFL, NBA as well, here and there. And then MLB is probably like the last sport that they focus on, but I'm still able to kind of create whatever I want with that. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much just do a lot of videos, editing videos, creating graphics, um, really just scheduling out what works because sometimes, like for instance, like you log on to your social media in the morning and then you probably don't log on at least on Facebook till later on. So it's kind of finding out the sweet spot of what graphics work and what videos work.
Awesome. And what sort of got you into social media specifically?
Yeah, I worked with a PR team about 3 years ago, and they really taught me a lot about social media. I really didn't want to do it. It just kind of happened, and I took that PR job because it was right after COVID and I needed a job. And I'm really happy that I did it because I learned a lot from it, obviously with social media. Eventually, I'd like to do on-air stuff, which I kind of am doing some freelance here and there. But it was a job I wanted to kind of, get my foot in the door. And I've actually learned a lot with CBS too. And I have a good boss and I can work remotely. And I can create whatever I want. I like having the freedom. Like I really don't have any like ties to what I have to, how many graphics I need to make a day or a week or videos. But they do want to make sure that the videos that you do make and are able to kind of schedule that they do get the amount of like likes and everything. So that can be difficult at times, but I do like a challenge. So it's been a lot of fun.
How do you think it's evolved since you started in terms of formats and things like that?
Yeah, well, I didn't know this until I went on with the Facebook team with CBS. Um, there's a lot of money to be made there with like ads and everything and campaigns, which I don't think people really know about that. So I think, you know, it's developing more into how can we make money, not just marketing, like social media, I think started off with just posting a picture. Like I remember I was looking back at my Instagram when it first came out, so probably like 2012 maybe. And I would just post like a random beach picture, and now no one's really doing that. It's pictures of yourself, what you're wearing, or it's several pictures in a swipe. So I think it's now there's a lot more money to be made with Amazon and clicking stuff and being influencers. And I think with sports, there's a lot of campaigns and ads that you can add to your social media side, which I didn't know that until I went with CBS. So a lot of money to be made.
And you mentioned that you focus on creating a lot of content, and that's sort of
Mhm.
the basis of what you do. How did
Yeah.
you sort of learn how to create content for social media specifically? What skills did you need?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Adobe products, but that didn't come very easily. I think um, during COVID, I actually worked with Celeste a lot, and she kind of gave me a few tips on what to do and what to look at and who to talk to when it came to social media. And I just like talked to other people, and then just working with that PR agency, they taught me how to schedule um, graphics, how to make graphics, what people like, what people don't like. And the videos I kind of did on my own because I used to make them for myself anyway for my work. So I really taught myself. Um, but I think it's something that we all need to be in this industry because I think the industry is kind of growing. You can't just do one thing. You can't be put in a box. You have to be able to do other things, whether it's reporting, broadcasting, social media, editing, video editing, content creating. There's a lot of things to be made.
A lot of people say, you mentioned that the industry is changing a lot. A lot of people
Mhm.
say that social media is kind of taking over in terms
Yeah,
of a lot of the ways that people consume content. What have you
yeah.
seen so far in terms of, especially for sports, in terms of the way people are consuming content?
A lot of people are trying to go and do stuff on their own. I think that's really tough. Um, because I mean, there is money to be made, but it's that grind. And I think it's going to take a while for people to really grasp that grind. Um, that's how kind of seen it, I guess, evolve or change. I don't think that's going to last long. I think there's always going to be networks or streaming services, YouTube, Amazon. I think Twitter eventually will go to streaming. Apple, there's a lot of streaming services out there that I think are really going to really take over. But I've seen a couple people go on their own. I just don't think it's something that works really well.
Gotcha. And then because we work with Celeste, you mentioned you work with Celeste too. I usually start with this, but I figured this would be a good kind of point to ask. What does a visionary mean to you? Because Celeste works with visionaries and sort of
Mhm.
uh helping people designate their career path and what's gonna and develop their own voice. So what does that mean? What does that mean for you?
I think just having a future. I grew up in a small town, so a lot of people didn't really have goals or ambitions. Everyone just kind of, was happy with where they were, and that's completely fine. But I think, visionaries just having those goals and ambitions and having a future. And I think striving for something has always been fun. And I think challenging too, which I always need a challenge. Um, so for her, I guess visionary for me, what it means is just, striving to be the best at something. And I think it's also a mix of just like being happy with what you're doing, which Celeste and I have talked about a lot. We love what we do, but we know it's a grind. But I wouldn't see myself really doing anything else. And I think that's what visionary is being happy with where you are and what you're doing, no matter what the grind is.
So going off of that, you talk a lot about goals and things like that. Where
Mhm.
do you see yourself sort of going with this career in social media and possibly in 10 years?
Hope. I mean, I really don't want to stay in social media. But I'm a big believer in my faith and like God's plan. I think it's all helpful for the future. I think, you always need different tools under your belt. I mean, I think that's going to be very important. Editing, everyone has to edit pretty much on their own now. And I think because I know how to edit on my own from learning from COVID and whatever, I can do that. It's on my resume just from knowing how to do it already. Um, so I think eventually I would like to see myself on air on the field broadcasting. That's my entire goal. And game broadcasting is my goal, but I know eventually we're gonna have to all have like different tools under our belt, which is fine. Just fun. I like learning. But that's where I see myself.
Amazing. And you talk about how you focus on Facebook specifically. And I'd love to sort of hear more about that because Facebook has changed so much. So what has that sort of
Yeah.
meant for you in terms of your job specifically?
I didn't know how big Facebook or how important I guess Facebook was. But it really is because like I said, there's a lot of money to be made. So we post a lot of articles as well, and there's a lot of ads in those articles, and you make a ton of money just doing that. Even with clicks, like there's a program with Facebook right now, which if you get an X amount of clicks, you get a boost of money or like a whatever, an incentive. And right now, that's kind of what we're working towards because there's a lot of money in Facebook right now. I never knew that, but I don't think anyone would know unless you're really like engulfed in it. It's kind of like I think they're trying to be like an Instagram thing where Instagram, you see these influencers and everything, and they can make a ton of money by clicks, by views, by likes, whatever it is. I think that's the way that they're trying to go.
And what advice would you have for someone who's sort of interested in getting into the field that you're in or into broadcasting and things like that?
Yeah, I think just try to learn whatever you can. I started off and I'm still am in radio. And although like I don't think radio is gonna be completely my future, I think it's helped me with a lot of jobs and opportunities and helped me with my reel and everything like that. And it helped me also just network as well. I think you should take whatever you can kind of get in a way because the job security in this industry is really tough. There's not a lot of job security. Like I'm on a contract basis. My contract could be up in April and they could say, see ya, we don't need you anymore, So I think it's always just trying to learn everything. I think you should be able to have like I said, different tools in your belt, whatever, um, whatever job you kind of take, I would ask questions
I
and
love that. I think that's a great place to end. I really feel like you've covered a lot in a
yeah,
short amount of time. Thank you so much for doing this, and
yeah.